Today we're going to be talking about areas of trapezoids. So if you look at this picture right here, you don't have to write this down. I'm just going to kind of talk about it. You'll see we have a triangle here, we have a triangle here, and then we have this rectangle or square, it depends on what's going on there, in the middle. So you can expect to remember the formula for a triangle, half times base times height. And then you should remember for the rectangle, base times height, right? So it looks like, and I like to use this formula, and this you can highlight or box or circle or do whatever you need to do. That's the formula I like to use. So half times base, except we got a couple of bases going on here, times height. And what I want you to do right now is I want you to write a 1 in right here. This should be B sub 1. That's how we say it. So B sub 1 means the first base, which is going to be this length right here. And B sub 2 means this base right here. And guys, it's the whole base. The entire thing. Don't say, oh, well, there's a perpendicular sign. I think I stopped there. No, it's the whole base. And then when you're doing height, make sure you use the entire height. And I want you to remember that height has to always be perpendicular to the base, all right? It can't just be, I'm going to write in red here. Don't write this down. It can't be Joe Schmo over here. That's called a slant height, okay? It's not perpendicular, so don't use that one. All right, so with that being said, let's go ahead and apply this formula on number 1. Find the area of the trapezoids. All right, so first thing you always want to do, especially so you can have it memorized for your quiz and your test in my class, is write down the formula. So area equals 0.5 times height, parenthesis, base 1 plus base 2. And then the next thing you need to do is identify, well, what are those in our picture? Well, first let's find height. Remember, the height should always be perpendicular to the base. So right here, this guy is perpendicular. There's your height. Now this trapezoid, someone's picked it up and twisted it over and put it on its side. So it's not sitting on its base because it's been turned to its side. With base 1 and base 2, it doesn't really matter which one you pick. So I'm just going to call this base 1, and I'm going to call that base 2. And if you wanted to flip-flop it and call 20 base 1 and 10 base 2, you're going to get the exact same answer as me, so it's totally fine. All right, so let's substitute what we have into our formula. So area equals 0.5 times the height. What's the height? Well, we labeled it as 3. Parenthesis. Base 1, let's look at base 1, that's 10, plus base 2. Look over the picture, base 2 is 20. So a couple of things that I do here, and I see students do the weirdest things here, the most non-mathematical things, so be careful. The first thing I like to do if I can is I multiply these two right here in the front together. So 0.5 times 3 on your calculator is going to give you 1.5. And then the next thing I like to do is actually combine the like terms inside the parentheses. So here we have a 10 plus 20. So if we do 10 plus 20, we will get 30. Then and only then do I multiply these two numbers here together. So when I do 1.5 times 30, I get 45. 45. Now let's talk about units. This is area. Area is going to be what? Squared. So we're talking about miles. So it's going to be miles squared. And we are all done with that problem. All right, so let's move on to number 2. Now, number 2 is looking a little strange, right? I don't see that dotted line so I can find my height. But that's okay. We can totally handle this. So we're still going to do A equals 0.5 times H, parenthesis, B sub 1 plus B sub 2. Now, I already mentioned why you should write this down for every problem right now. I don't know if you remember, but I said it so you have it memorized for the quizzes and the tests. All right, so if you write it for every problem, I'm pretty sure you'll have it down. All right, so let's figure out what's going on in our picture here. Well, it looks like it is sitting on the base, and I didn't really talk to you guys too much about what's a base and what's a height. All I said was that they're perpendicular. So let's back it up a little bit over here to our picture. The bases are always the two sides that are parallel to each other. Okay, these two sides are parallel to each other. So it's never going to be the sides that are slanted in like this. Never those. And like you can see in this picture, like, this one's not even slanted over here. It's like we have 3 straight sides and none are slanted. So it's always going to be the parallel lines that make up your bases. And the reason I didn't talk much about that is because that's from what we've learned in the past. The book kind of assumes you know that. But if you forgot, that's totally fine. That's why I'm reminding you now. So looking at our picture, these two lines right here are parallel to each other. Now I'm going to write in highlighter. You don't need to write this down. Look at that. Those are definitely not parallel at all. So don't use those as your basis. All right, so now let's go ahead and label. So this here must be my height. And then I'll call this base 1, and I'll call this base 2. So 0.5 times the height, which is 6, and then parenthesis, base 1 is 8, and base 2 is 4. Now let's think about what I said in the last problem. I said I like to multiply these two numbers in front together first, if I can, and 0.5 times 6 is going to give me 3. Then I like to add these two numbers inside the parentheses together next. 8 plus 4 is going to give me 12. And then finally you can multiply these two numbers together now. So 3 times 12 is going to give you 36. And don't forget your units. Here we're dealing with inches, and this is area, so it is inches squared. All right, I'm going to have you guys complete 3 for class. So when you come to class, please have number 3 completed. I'm going to be checking it, get some points for it. So make sure that you have that completed for class. You know everything you need to know for it. Let's move it down here. Now, in class, I seem to get students asking me tons of questions when we get to problems like 4 and 5. And I'm pretty sure that people ask questions because they literally don't read the problem. They see words, and so then they just raise their hand and they need help. Okay, so let's just read the problem together. You could totally do these. The area of a trapezoid is 60 centimeters square. Let's stop the presses right there. The area of a trapezoid. The area of a trapezoid. Write it down. So area equals 0.5 h times base 1 plus base 2. There you go. So as soon as you see area of a trapezoid, write down the area of a trapezoid formula. Now it says that the area is 60. So we have A, H, B1, and B2. Which one is 60? It's going to be A. It's your area. So we know that's A. The height of the trapezoid is 6. Now let's stop right there. The height is 6. What letter is that? H. So H is going to be 6. And the length of one of the bases is 12. Well, what's that going to be? Do you want to call it base 1 or do you want to call it base 2? And by the way, it doesn't matter which one you pick. Who cares, right? So I'm going to call it base 1. I like to do 1 before 2, so that's just my preference. But you can use it as base 2. It says, what is the length of the other base? So we have these bits of information. What we're going to do is we're going to substitute them in. So 60 equals 0.5. We found out that H is 6, so times 6, and then parenthesis. We know base 1 is 12, and we don't know what base 2 is, so we just leave it alone as B sub 2. All right, so from here, there's still something I specifically said I like to do first. Multiply these two numbers in the front together first. So 60 equals 0.5 times 6 is 3, parenthesis 12 plus B sub 2. Now I told you I like to put these like terms together inside the parentheses, but in this case, they are not like terms. So now we're here. What are we going to do? Let's just distribute. Okay? So 60 equals 36 when I distribute, and then 3 times B sub 2 is 3B sub 2. Now we got a regular old equation. Let's get rid of the 36. So I subtract 36 from both sides. So 60 minus 36 is 24. By the way, I don't know if you heard that little noise there in the background. That was definitely my Facebook making a noise. So I apologize for that. So now we have 24 equals 3 times B sub 2. What's the inverse of times or multiplication? It's division. So 24 divided by 3 is going to be 8, and I tend to write really large, so if you do too, I apologize. And it's 8 what? Now here I have students that square their units, and I'm like, no, 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 we only square it if it's area, and this is just a base. So 8 equals B sub 2, right? So that's the base. The base is never going to be squared. It's just going to be centimeters, okay? A base length would just be centimeters for this one. Okay, I trust that you can try number 5. Everything I've told you there, by the way, you know, you can pause it, rewind it, rewatch it. You can watch the whole video without writing anything down at first and then going back and writing everything down. It's totally up to you how you want to do it. So it's all under your control. But have number 5 done when you come to class. So let's keep going. Find the area of the complex polygons. Well, I'm going to talk to you about 6. 6 has 2 shapes there. And what 2 shapes are they? They are trapezoids. So I'm going to write that down. Okay, they're trapezoids. Now, are those trapezoids the exact same dimensions? Look at your picture. 14, 10, height of 8. 14, 10, height of 8. So there are 2 trapezoids. I know you're excited. So first, let's just find the area of one of them. We write down the formula. A equals 0.5 h times b sub 1 plus b sub 2. We have to figure out what our dimensions here are. So I'm going to be looking at this trapezoid right here, since it's the same as the other. Our height is here. Here's base 1, and here's base 2. So now that we know all these, we can substitute them into the equation. So A equals 0.5 times the height, which is 8, times base 1, which is 10, plus base 2, which is 14. Think about what I said I like to do next. I like to do 0.5 times 8. And 0.5 times 8 is 4. And then I like to get these guys together. So 10 plus 14 is 24. And then when I multiply 4 times 24, I get 96. So the area equals 96. Now, are we done? I want you to glance on up here. I only shaded one trapezoid there, and there's 2 of them. So the area would actually be 96 plus 96 for the other one, because there are 2 exact trapezoids there. So when we add those 2 together, we get 192 centimeters squared. Here's what I want you to do. I would like you to do number 7 for class, so bring that in. I want you to try it. It's a complex polygon. I know you guys don't like them that much. They're a little bit tougher than some of the other problems, but I think you can do it. And then I'm going to do number 8 in class for you. Okay, I'm going to talk about 8. If you want to try it, you go ahead, but you do not have to try number 8. So just finish up 7, finish up 5, and finish up 3 for class, and then get ready. We're going to rock out some more area of trapezoids when I see you the next time. See you then.